There's quite a few key points that you can pick up that'll help you with this horsemanship. A lot. I started off riding horses late teens, early 20s. Doing stock work was pretty rough and ready, and even then I thought there must be an easier, better way to do stuff with a horse. And so yeah, I went to a few clinics and sought out a few people and found what they call natural horsemanship. That is really just horsemanship in my view, and yeah, and practiced it quite a bit, and then must have got fairly good at it because people started asking me to give them a hand with stuff, and it's just grown from there. So mainly people are having difficulty with their horses, so from high level horses to remedial horses, I suppose you'd say, that are just a bit confused. Yeah. The majority of my clients are word of mouth. People generally come to me because they've got a problem with their horse, or what they think conceive as a problem with their horse. Their horse is being difficult in some form. I have a few people that just want to better the relationship with the horse. They don't really have a problem, but they want a better relationship with their horse. But a lot of people I come across have an issue with their horse. Their horse is behaving badly or won't go on a float or something. So they come to me because they've heard that I can are kind and can usually fix the problem. My business, I come and visit you at your own place a lot of the time, which gives me the opportunity to evaluate the horse in its familiar surroundings and hopefully fix those problems or help with those problems when it's at home. If you take it away, you know, we could have a clinic somewhere, it'd be fine, goes back where it knows everything, it may revert to where it is. But yeah, if we can fix it at your place, it'll be a much better outcome. I've gone and seen a group called Horse Safety Australia, which was a 5-day assessment, and achieved a qualification as senior instructor with them. It's basically an assessment of my ability to handle and knowledge horses, so and also to instruct. So it's a 5-day intensive evaluation of my ability. So it's not actually a course instruction, it is straight evaluation. So there is content we have to achieve. We have to do 3 classes over the 5 days, and they watch how we instruct people, both groups and beginners as well as individuals if you want. And then we have theory exams on our knowledge of horses and that sort of thing. So it's a practical as well as theory, and then quite a bit of the safety stuff. So how to safely manage people and horses, and you know, gear and that sort of thing. It's a well recognised course or evaluation, if you like. Yeah. I've been involved in a couple of pony clubs, and one of the things is there's parents there that don't know a lot about horses, and they're trying to do the right things. They're passionate about the club and they help all they can, but pony club day comes around and they've got to fight with their pony to get it on the float, and they come there hot and red in the face, and the kids are yelled at, and nobody's having a good time. The parents aren't having a good time, the kids aren't having a good time, the pony's not having a good time. But with this sort of horsemanship, if you can show them how to handle a pony, get it on the float without any dramas, it can just make the whole experience so much more fun for everybody. It puts the fun back in it, it takes the conflict and the fight out of it. Kids, you've got to a degree, you've just got to let them do their own thing for a while. They've got to bumble around with horses. The horses kids will get away with a lot more than we will, but there's a few really basic things that you can teach kids that'll make their life a lot easier. For example, sitting here with the horse here, he's keeping his distance. You know, that's that's the best thing you can teach kids, is teach a horse to keep their distance. You can give him a pat any time you want, but he's not to come in and crowd you. So there's some really basic things you can give kids, and it'll be with them the rest of their lives, and it'll make such a difference for their relationship with horses. But the main thing is with kids, they've got to have fun. You know, a lot of the technical stuff you don't want to get them bogged down with. They lose interest very quickly. It's an unfortunate thing in the horse world that as a horse plays up, people think they need to put more and more gear on to make it behave, and spurs and nose bands and all sorts of things. What people don't realise is that a horse can feel a mosquito land on it. It doesn't need spurs, and most of the times the problems are caused by people being way too heavy, and the horses, whether it's frustrated or annoyed or whatever, and they're putting way too much pressure on the horse. And the horse, all the horse can do is build its energy until it ends up as a buck or a rear or whatever, you know. People will find that if they can back off a little bit, it'll reward, the rewards will be a lot greater, you know. People are starting to realise that in the past people have broken horses. They've chased them with whips, and until the horse is scared and it's actually shut down so much that it complies with what you want. But in actual fact, there's a really kinder way to do it. If you can get the horse to willingly do what you want, they'll just about walk through fire for you, you know. And they're such a forgiving animal. Even like this horse here has been really badly abused, and 12 months ago you couldn't put a hand on him, you know. And now he's the most quiet, loving horse, I suppose you'd say. A great relationship with him. But yeah, so people are coming to me, and people like me, because they know there's a kinder way, and the rewards are a lot greater. They can get a lot more out of their horse, you know. And it doesn't have to be a fight. It's it can be a really two-way relationship, you know, and good for the horse and good for you. Yeah. I'd like people to understand too that the horsemanship isn't all airy-fairy stuff. You do have to be firm with them at times. I say to people, you've got to use as much force on them as they're prepared to use on you. So most horses, they're not violent or anything, and you can be very, very kind to them. And always you've got to be fair, you've got to be just. That's the important thing. But if you've got a horse that's, you know, ready to double barrel you and kick you and do you really severe damage, safety first always, but it's got to understand that you're prepared to do what you need to do to stop it from causing you a major damage, you know. And usually that's a very quick thing to do. Once they realise that you're not going to stand for that rubbish, they usually give it up straight away. So we are as kind as we can be. You know, we start off as soft as we can. As I said earlier, they can feel a mosquito land on them. So that we start off soft, and then we build our energy until we get the reaction we require. Then we'll stop, we'll give them a pat, we'll make friends, and we'll start again. We'll ask them again softly, and we'll build it up. And it's amazing how quickly and how soft they'll become if you start off soft. Yeah. There's a number of really good clinicians about. The best thing to do would be probably to go on 2 or 3 or 4 day weekends with a good clinician, and most of them, if you ring them up, there'll be people in the local area, or there'll be someone that organises the clinic in that area and gets the clinician in. Ask them to give you some names, ring them up and ask them, you know, how people went, and they'll soon tell you whether they loved it and enjoyed it, and you know, you'll get an idea. Or just go along and with an open mind, and it might not be for you, but there might be something you get out of it as well. And there's certainly people around that you can go and visit for a day or whatever, and again, you'll know straight away whether your horse is happy and if you're happy with them. You know, that's probably the best way to get into it, you know, but it's certainly word of mouth, you know. I do remember a hearing of a clinician one day, and he went and did some work with an Arab stallion that was very uptight and was very hard to handle, and this woman brought it in, and he worked on this horse, and anyway, he got this horse to trust him, and he just loved it, and the horse just turned around. Anyway, after he left the clinic, he heard later that the husband, his ego was so dented that he took the horse home and gave it a real flogging, and put it back in a box, and it was a real trouble, you know, and it really bothered this clinician that he'd got this horse's trust back, and then someone had destroyed it again. And the person that organised the clinic was a farrier, local farrier. And anyway, he said to him one day, he was coming back the next 12 months, he said, oh look, he said, I'm really sorry about that Arab stallion that I did some work on. It really bothers me. And the farrier said, oh no, it's all right, the lady got rid of him. And he said, oh, I hope he went to a better home. And he said, well, I don't know. But he said, I think you're a bit mixed up. It was the husband, not the horse she got rid of. And as it turns out, he said, we've done some work with the horse. He now runs around in the paddock. I can catch him. He said, he's a wonderful fellow. So, yes, it's all turned around. And I think that's the basis of this horsemanship, is giving the horses a much better understanding, I guess, of where they should fit in with us. And yeah, so that was, I always relate back to that story that yeah, it's all about the horses. The biggest tip I could give people to getting their horses a better relationship with their horse, and I say it all the time, is don't step backwards. The first thing a horse will do is to give you a little nudge or crowd your space. People step backwards. As soon as the horse has done that, he's got a little win, and then he can build on it from there. And that, a lot of your problems build on it from there, is that the ability of a horse to crowd you and push you backwards. You know, an alpha horse controls speed and direction, so they don't see you as a horse, but they see you as another being, and if they can just bully you a little bit, they will, and then they've got you. But if you can just get them to keep their distance, that's the biggest tip I can give people. So there's a number of key points that you can learn, and they're fairly simply learnt too, which can lead to a much better relationship and communication with you and your horse.